I got muted. Have you guys seen Monsters Inc? The kids movie? Am I the only mom here that watches? You haven't seen it, Jenny? Oh my gosh. Okay, Sarita knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, I just had a moment of like, we're coming online, because that's how my brain works. And then I got a chuckle because it was funny to me. How was your Christmas? Oh, good. You have seen it, Jenny. I thought you were saying no. I was like, oh man, you're missing out. Kids' movies are the best. Good. You had a great Christmas? That's awesome. My family and I rented a cabin. I'm in Colorado. So we went to the mountains and rented a cabin and Christmas presents and hot cocoa. It's fun. Yeah. Cool. I see some new faces, I think, or some new names. You didn't have a putty party. What is that? They actually connected. Hold on. Did you mean pity party? Okay. I was like, what's a putty party? My kids would definitely have that. Oh, that's funny. You didn't have actually connected with my. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like me too. I had a moment where I just needed a hug and I let my mom hug me, which was like huge. That was a big, just will you hug me? And she did, and we didn't talk about it, and I just cried. And I was like, I was so happy after. I was just on cloud nine. I was like, that is all I needed. I needed someone to hug me. Yeah, so and that's huge if you know my story with my mom. Never thought that I would get there. Yeah. I hear you, Sarita. That makes sense. Was this your first? Yeah, your first holiday. Okay. That makes sense, honey. That would be hard. Holidays are hard. They bring up a lot of emotions. Well, yeah, we can get started. Miss Kelsey, where are you, girl?
I'm here.
Hi.
I'm so excited.
Good. You too.
I'm normally at work, so this is the first time I've been able to like ask something because I'm normally I normally just listen while I'm there. So this is great.
Yay.
So this is a little odd.
I love odd.
Yeah, it's a little odd because I find that I'm very codependent mentally. So, and I'm not great at, so it's with my sister, and I'm not great at communicating. I feel like it's not, like, my heart doesn't feel safe to do that because there's a lot of manipulation and monitoring. And I don't want to blame her for that because I feel like to stay safe, I do it back oftentimes. And so I've noticed that trying to work through like my relationship with God mentally, my default is, whether I have an encounter or stuff, is she will often, in my head, everything that I have for me would work better for her. So it's almost like the boundaries for identity aren't there. And so I've been trying to work through, how do I properly view myself so I'm not mentally codependent. And it's not nothing that I personally feel like I need to share with her,
Mhm.
because the codependency, it's almost like in my head, then when I've been talking to God, it's almost like these spiritual boundaries because of things that I let maybe my family talk, how I think about myself. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, just trying to, and I know it deals with a lot of self-hatred. Like I'm constantly triggered pretty much by everything with her. Any insecurity she has, I feel like I'm amplified. And so it's like, I don't know how to have a proper perspective of my own personal boundaries in my relationship with God. It just gets very frustrating when I'm having an encounter and it's like this, I feel like the villain in my head, and it's like everything would work for her better. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's
I
kind of
mean,
hard to
slightly.
explain.
Yeah. Can you help me understand that part and more? So, the encounter, are you saying the encounter would be better for her than
Yeah,
for
so
you?
like, so in my head, I have safe spaces that are beautiful, that I talk to God in. And typically at some point it will shift where I'll be displaced and I'm this horrible, ugly thing. And she's there and it's like, this is her space in my head. And it's like, no, like, I don't understand in my head why there is ever should be a space for her. Like, this is not her realm. And
Right.
it's constantly that in everything, like almost in every area of my life. And so I was getting frustrated and even talking to God, and he's like, in my putting up boundaries, which I have a very hard time communicating, and I don't feel
Mhm.
safe doing that because I often feel like they just get manipulated. And so what God has been saying is, no, you don't need to communicate right now those physical boundaries. There are spiritual boundaries that constantly get crossed.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, well, I don't need to tell her to back out of that. It's how do I form, you know, mental boundaries. So, like these images, it's like anything that I feel like God gives me that you're like, this is amazing. Sooner or later, it will be appropriated to her mentally in my head. And it's just like, and it doesn't matter how much I'm just like, I feel like I get very aggressive and irritable with that. And it's not her fault.
Yeah.
It's obviously my way of thinking.
Yeah. I mean, there might be something there slightly with, um, I want to say like an experience with you and your sister. Is she older?
She's my twin and she is slightly
Okay.
older.
Okay. Um, but on the spiritual side, so
Right.
I have no idea. So I
Okay.
say, let's just ask Jesus.
Okay, that sounds good.
He's been giving me like a crash course in the spiritual realm the last few weeks. So I'm on board with you. I want to say it's something that you need to break partnership with, but I
Right.
don't know what that is. So I say, like, let's just let him um, direct it there. If you're cool with that, are you good with
Yeah.
walking through that?
No.
Okay. Because I don't want to pretend like I know
No,
and
no,
know
I
all the
totally get
steps.
that. It's like,
Um, but it does sound, and that makes more sense. Hearing that she's your twin,
mhm,
it makes like spiritual and realm sense
yeah.
to me that there would be something maybe entangled. That's all I'm getting.
Yeah. And the very
Identity.
first encounter I ever had with Jesus was like a year ago. And the first thing he told me was when I was really struggling with this, because I've struggled with this a lot of my life,
Yeah.
was, I'm your twin. And I was like,
Mm,
okay. And so then I feel like now it's like, how do I walk in that reality? How do I, you know,
yeah.
because I don't want to blame her and it's not her fault, but like,
Yeah. No, I think we just pick up on these things. Like, we don't know. It could have happened in the womb, honestly. Like I've
That
had
has been a lot of the things that, like,
really,
when I typically have something, it goes back to there or
yeah,
like before, and it gets frustrating because you're like, I'm trying to learn like not to blame spiritual warfare, but like, okay, that's great. Jesus said, he's the scapegoat, so I'm stepping out in that position. Thank you. Just different things like that. Like,
yeah,
I want to take responsibility and not blame because that's my default for a lot of things I've noticed, where
yeah,
I'm either the villain or the total victim. But in both places, I feel like the villain. So,
yeah. I think there's something separate there too. Like I think there's some aspects there that I could coach you on, but
okay.
it's probably not the deeper thing
Yeah.
because and that sounds more like logic to me. Like we're not going to get
Yeah.
there. Like you can't reach emotional things through logic, and I don't think you can
Yeah.
reach spiritual things through logic,
That's a good point.
right? So
Yeah.
if he's highlighting the spiritual aspect, then I think it's something there.
Yeah.
So um yeah, like I said, I have no idea. So let's just have
That's
him
good.
show us because it's in the spiritual. It all makes sense to me though. Like I could understand how being in the womb with another person, like I'm not a
Yeah.
twin, so but I could just understand how spiritually or like your identity would be intertwined.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm kind of sensing is like you're like it's almost like this. And I feel like he wants to like untangle your
Yeah.
identities so that you are your own person and
Yeah.
she's her own person.
Yeah.
Um, so like I said, let's just ask him and let's just walk through that. So and I can talk a little bit, but I feel like you have such a good connection with him that he'll reveal it to you too. And he'll show you the root of what to break up with.
Yeah.
And it's just like a partnership, just like Sammy and Spencer talk about like breaking up with self-hatred, like
Yeah.
divorcing yourself. Um, I've had that in my life too, like God show me. So let's just ask him. Um, Either Jesus or Papa God, just ask him, what are the things or what is the thing that I need to break partnership with?
Papa God, what is the thing that I need to break partnership with? I feel like there's a lot of fear that's kind of drying. I mean, I know
Yeah.
the first thing that comes to mind is like, before this, I have a counselor that I'd often break soul ties. Like, and like my sister was the number one person I do it with, and it never seemed to make an effect.
Okay.
So I feel like there's a fear of encounters don't matter, but
Okay.
this doesn't change anything. And I don't know if it's blocking.
Maybe let's just ask him. Ask him if uh, ask him if that's blocking or what the root is um, of that unbelief of encounters.
I think it's a need for answers and validation, probably to be heard.
Okay.
I feel like he's saying that's why I'm doing it, not just by myself, so that I have a second testimony to my own, like a weighted voice.
Okay. I want you to ask him, Papa, when did I first discredit my voice?
But when did I first discredit my voice? think it was probably in the womb. It's a default picture I typically get when I picture it is there's always a beautiful, like heavenly colors around my sister and me. There's this dark ugliness around it. Like a lot of the discoloration, I feel like I can trace that far back in how I see spaces.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And it's hard because I don't really have any compassion for me. Like I feel like just like not that you would ever do this to any other baby, but like one, it's like, oh, that's beautiful. And then this thing is like almost like a monster that you just like can condemn. Like in my head, it's something that you wouldn't even say is human. Like, oh, just 1 second. My sister's calling.
You're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's such a heavy way to be brought into this world, honey. I want you to ask Papa how he sees it or what he thinks about this.
Is, Papa God, what do you think of this? Sorry, my sister calling distracted me. I was like, oh, it's weird because the thing, it's like, it's not like me, it's not even human.
Okay, well, let's just ask him to come cleanse. I want to say like cleanse the baby, like spiritually, because I know that he has more authority over any of this and that we don't have to understand what it is, and that he can restore what he intended, because I fully believe that you were intended for the same light, the same life as your sister, and whatever got twisted and either placed on you or you partnered with, like all of those things weren't meant for you. So, and I'll share teeny tiny. So my youngest daughter, she's had moments where she's seen in the spiritual, she's seen demonic influences in the room. And I have her say, leave in Jesus Christ's name. And she's 8. And she will see a bright pink flash and it will be gone. So I believe so much in his authority and his power over them that even as an 8-year-old little girl, like we don't have to be afraid of any of it or powerless to it. That's what I'm feeling. It's like, it's actually not you, honey. Like something, we don't know how it came about, but he can take it and he can make it new and shift that. And you don't have to do absolutely anything. Does that make sense? Cool. I'm really excited.
Me too.
Like,
I know, it was funny because like you can tell your daughter that like when I heard the word pink, there's just so much hope, because it's funny because he always talks to me in the color pink. So when you said that, I was like, oh, it's just really cool.
Yeah. So pink is unconditional love. And pink, I swear that it's him. That's what she saw. So yeah, I'm really excited for you. So let's just lean into this. And I lost my train of thought also. Let's just ask him. Let's just invite him to do what he wants to do.
Okay with that.
And we'll let him however he wants to direct it. So I just posture your heart, and this can be for every lady on the call too. Just posture your heart openly invite Jesus, come have your way here.
Jesus, come have your way here.
Do you hear anything, sense anything?
I feel like there's a struggle for me to conjure up an image, like, okay, what's happening?
Right.
And he's kind of just like, I've got this.
Yeah.
And I feel like over the past couple months, there's just been different pictures of death. And so I've known for a long time there's been some sort of assignment.
Yeah.
Typically, one of the twins, we have a history of twins, typically one of them dies at some point.
I just kind of got that sense that it was farther along in your generational life.
Yeah.
So I just want you to ask Jesus to break that generational curse on your life.
Dear Heavenly Father, would you break off this curse? You said your life, and you said that your love displaces all death. Would you stand in the gap of my family line and whatever they partnered with as I choose you, that you are life, and that your love is unconditional. And Lord, I don't know. That word doesn't really make sense to me, but I want it to. So I plead your blood because you are my bloodline.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for anything my ancestors did. I feel so much lighter.
Yeah. That was amazing. Thank you for letting us just hear that and be a part of that. You made me cry.
It was funny because I was really struggling last night, and like I have some weird anomalies that are frustrating me just health wise, where they're like, this doesn't work, so therefore you can't make adenosine like a building block of your DNA. And it was just getting like really frustrating because it's often done in comparison and contrast with my sister, and I've been learning to break that off because it's like it's frustrating. And so last night God was like, well, I'm your DNA, I'm your adenosine, I'm your thymine. And I was like, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And so like I feel like I occasionally I'm trying to learn to switch out of that logic mode and just, okay, if that's said, then then if that's said, then let me see that and let it be true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. That was really precious to be a part of. I'm really glad you brought that here.
Thank you. I just occasionally just feel like I'm crazy, but like trying to balance between, like, last week he was saying that like when there's spiritual warfare, and I feel like a scapegoat, he's like, hey, that position's mine. Can I take it? I was like, okay. So I'm trying to learn that in spiritual warfare, like, where do you want me to stand? So
yeah, that makes sense. That's a lot to carry alone. Yeah, Can I pray over you just
Yes,
before
I
you
would
go?
love that.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. um, Man, Papa God, I just pray over Kelsey, Lord. I just pray your covering over her. I thank you for just cleansing her and bringing her spirit to the light that you intended. I thank you that your hand is on her life, that absolutely nothing is too big for you. I pray that she's just able to walk through life with this lightness that she got today from you. We thank you for revealing this. Thank you for cutting these ties and these curses on her life. And for her just leaving a better legacy in the future to her children. Thank you, Jesus. Thanks, honey. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, that was so good. What did you say, Jenny? I think you said Elizabeth. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. How are you
That
doing?
that was really powerful from Kelsey. So thank
Yeah.
you. And I got this like picture while she was praying, like when she pleaded the blood of Jesus all over her, like it kind of like mixed with the water in utero and like turned everything pink. So I just
Wow.
wanted to share that.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm.
My question today, I've been going through the all the materials for week 7 and 8 kind of together, and realizing like I'm a passive communicator and like being overly responsible for really everything in my life and in my family. And so my question was more of like knowing that I have like some hard conversations to have with my parents especially, but like first I kind of was like, no, I'm never going to do this, this is too hard. And then I kind of got to this stage where I'm like, okay, it's going to have to happen at some point, but I'm not ready. So I guess my question is more like, will I know when it's time? Like, can I give myself that space and time? Like, okay, now I know I'm ready. Or is it something like I kind of have to force myself to do? Or, because I guess I feel like there's a lot of fears coming up where if I start sharing who I really am, um, my family is going to be kind of like, all of us already knew that. What did you miss? Or like you're being selfish or something like that. So yeah, it's stuff
Yeah.
that I've been working through, but I definitely like some like how much space can I give myself before it becomes selfish?
Wow. You can give yourself as much space as you need. Um, yeah, you definitely will know. I think the more you get connected and build that equity with your heart, I think between that and those nudges from the Holy Spirit that are like, when he nudges you and you're like, oh, I know I need to have this conversation.
Yeah.
So I think between yourself and the Holy Spirit, you will know. But I also think you have complete freedom and permission to, first of all, never have the conversation
Mm.
or to have it, like there's no timeline. So you could have it within the year, you could wait 5 years, and that could be, the time for you that you're ready. There's really no, I can't tell you, I can't tell you when each one of you are. I think there's something separate. If it's just fear, then I would say there's some times where you do want to, you can choose into pushing against that for you. Like if it's only fear holding you back, um, then I would suggest like facing that for
Mhm.
you, because that's, you know, you don't want to live a life like trapped to fear,
Right. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there's any pressure or any kind of timeline that you have to, because even the conversations are for you.
Yeah.
They're not for your family.
Right.
So in what it looked like for me was taking about a year, maybe more, year and a half of space and separating from my family and my mom specifically before I was ready to start having conversations.
Yeah.
And even in that space, I could tell what conversations I wanted to have and what
Mhm.
things I wasn't ready. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
ready to go there. And then I would just voice that. I would
Mhm.
just voice, I'm ready to talk, I'd love to have a conversation about this. The whole time I communicated. So if you're at the place where you want that space first, I had the conversation with my mom and I let her know, um, hey, I'm you're going to feel me create space in our relationship.
Mhm.
And it's not because I'm leaving. I don't hate you. It has more to do with me and me going on my journey of healing. And I just need this space. So I communicated all along the way.
Yeah.
There were a few times that it was really hard for her. And she would reach out and say, we haven't talked in 3 months or whatever. And I would just reiterate some of those things like, hey, my overall goal in the end was closer connection with my mom. But I knew that where we were, I couldn't have that. There were things that I needed in place, right? I needed that safety.
Mhm.
I needed to be able to choose what I shared with her and how close I let her in my life. So if you think about the boundaries, like she was definitely my God spot for the longest time. And I had to move her out to like an acquaintance boundary. And that was just me personally, in order to have space to heal, I needed to do that. Um, so I don't know do you know what stage you're at or what feels comfortable for you?
I think I'm definitely like in the place where I needed space for a while, and
Okay.
I still like need some space, but can kind of feel myself like coming to like another stage of a different kind of space, and then
Okay.
being able to have like conversations at them at some point. I think the thing that like makes it really complicated is like we had a pretty bad falling out in March, and then like I haven't seen them since then, and like we've stayed in touch on and off. But it's like they kind of pretend that because I apologize for the way that I left, like it almost seems like they think things are good, but like we have a history of not being emotionally intelligent and like not not expressing our own needs. So it just like adds the complication of like I feel like I have to be the parent in this situation because I have all these tools and this knowledge. And so I think like just recognizing like no, when I talk to them, it's not about me helping them. It's like this is who I am and this is what I'm bringing to the table, take it or leave it kind of thing. But I
Yeah.
don't want to do that in a mean derogatory way. It's just like okay, this is what I've learned and I want to share this with you. I'm not saying, I'm not judging you, I'm not telling you you have to change. It's just this is where I'm at.
Yeah. No, I think okay, I get more where you are. I think you communicated that really well. Um, I like to veer on the side of over communication, and just like what you were saying. I think in the transition period, especially if you're showing up new, like different in relationship, and there's some old um like perspectives or lenses on their end, I think without going too much into taking responsibility for their emotions, I think the space you just were is a really good place to be,
Mhm.
um, in communicating, hey, I'm not judging you. I'm not expecting you to change. And then I would take it a little bit further and just really lay out what you need. Like, I don't
Yeah.
need advice. I just
Mm.
need you to listen, like whatever it is in those moments, because that's a really vulnerable space to be in.
Yeah.
But it's almost like retraining the relationship,
Mm.
right? So if you guys are used to doing relationship one way, and then you're the one who stepped out and changed, and then when you come back into relationship, it's just going to need a lot of those like retraining words.
Yeah.
um so it sounds like that's the step that you're at.
Yeah.
Do you feel pretty comfortable with having that conversation?
Not quite, almost, but
Yeah.
not not
Yeah.
quite yet. But I really liked what you said about like saying I don't need advice. I think like the big thing that is kind of holding me back right now is like the fear of questions. Because it's like if I kind of say like I don't need advice, like I just want to bring this to the table and share it, that there will be a lot of questions. Okay, like what happened and all this other stuff from the past, and I like that's something that I know that I don't need, like I don't even want, like I um don't want to withhold information, but I need that trust to be rebuilt before um I want to share any of those things. And maybe there will be a point where, okay, I don't need to share any of it because I don't want to. And those questions, even though they might be important to my parents to know that information, it's just um, they weren't there with me in that situation. So
Yeah.
it doesn't, I don't know. Is that making any sense?
Really? Yeah. And I think you can even communicate that. There are places in the conversation where if my mom gets to an area, I can tell in that moment, oh, if I answer this, I will be violating my heart.
Yeah.
If I say yes to this, I will be violating my heart. Because of that equity that I've built with her, I know the second she's like, don't even
Yeah.
go there. And so I will stop in those moments and I'll be like, oh, I actually don't want to share that yet.
Mm.
Or I actually don't want to share that. You have every right to say what you do and don't want to share.
Yeah.
And even just like what you shared with me, there's sometimes I've had that conversation, what you're just saying, like with my mom, I would tell her, like, in order to have closer connection with you, there needs to be safety on my end. So just like what you were saying, like, I would be open to share something like this, but these are the things I need in our relationship in order for me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're in a really good space to do that. The only thing I would just say, watch for it to be, I had to get to a place where it wasn't like a demand or a control. It was
Mm-hmm.
really holding it in my hand open, because they like they have the right to say that they're going to do those things or not do those things. So I had to get to a place, like with my mom, that I could accept the level of closeness we were going to have.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's been a few times where has stated, like, well, I'm not willing to go on my healing journey and process. So to me, if she's going to be in here, I need safety and
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability and for her to show up that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she stated she doesn't want to do that. So, which is fine. But then I had to communicate, okay, well, then you're going to be out here, which is fine. But then you don't get to know certain things about my life
Mm-hmm.
because that safety in relationship isn't there.
Yeah.
You know, do you feel like you can say those things in the moment, or
Eventually, yeah.
yeah, use whatever words feel comfortable
Yeah.
with you?
Yeah.
But I'm all for stopping the conversation. If you get
Mm.
triggered, I say, oh my gosh, I am so triggered right now. I need to go. in the other room and talk to you later. Like if that's all I can get out, that's all I get out. If I'm
Yeah.
not super triggered, I'll be like, hey, okay, I'm really triggered. Something's happening. Like, I love you. Can we talk later? But
Mhm.
if I went from 0 to 60 and I'm like, all I can get out is I am so triggered right now. I need to talk to you later.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
go in the other room. Because it's in me, right? So
Mhm.
I'm all for, if the conversation gets unsafe, I say it. If it gets to a place where I'm not willing to share, I will just say, oh, I'm actually not ready to talk about that or willing to talk about that. And then if they ask questions, why? Well, and then you can go explain a little bit more.
Mhm.
I need to be, my boundaries respected, vulnerability respected. Yeah. So
Yeah.
is that helpful? Now I feel like I'm
Yes.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's
Yeah.
helpful.
Good luck with those.
Thank you.
They're so good. They're good on the other side, I promise. Because your parents want deep connection with you. So most parents will learn those things because you're their little girl. So if you're saying, hey, in order to have closer connection, I need this, even if they don't know how to do it, which they probably don't, they're going to make an effort because they want that close connection with you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, Miss Emily.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm excited. I'd never been on one of your calls because I'm always working during the day. I'm only like on Marcus and Melanie's calls. So I
Well,
didn't even like know you were a coach. So
that's okay.
good to put a face to you. Yeah. So gosh, I could have asked two different questions and I'm gonna ask the harder one that's like feels harder to formulate and feels like a bigger issue.
Okay.
See how that goes. So I left my husband in July. We're separated. Uh, but we still have to make parenting decisions together. And like, for example, we talked in person yesterday trying to make a parenting decision. And basically where I'm struggling, it reminds me of the first question. Where I'm struggling is I feel like and this has been a pattern throughout our 15 years of marriage. I feel like I know what I think and believe, but when I talk to him, he shares his thoughts and beliefs really strongly. I've had to end conversations in the past, because I would get so triggered and things. I need to continue a parenting relationship with him.
Yeah.
That's inevitable forever. We have 3 kids together, or they're young still. So how to I don't know. I know this is something I can learn. I will learn over time, but it's been so long, I'm like ready for healing. So how to hold on to my beliefs in the space, where he has a different belief. And, like I felt confident in having left, and I have felt confident in like wanting the kids more close to 50-50 split than what it is right now. I just get like a little bit less time because of my work schedule. But then when I hear his thoughts, I question my own beliefs. And it, the past 24 hours, I'm like trying to find clarity again. And I feel it's I know it's the codependency. I know it's this self-doubt. But it's literally confusing, like to know what is real, like what voice is real. And I've always been, I have a history of being like easily influenced, you could say, and self-doubt, and it just is triggered so much in that relationship. And So I guess I know we could go a lot of different places with that, but I want healing to be able to not fear being wrong in someone else's eyes, and to know my voice and God's voice amidst other voices.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, the first thing that popped into my head was authority. And tell me a little bit with like specifically a man's voice and men's authority. Is that something like from your childhood? What
Yes.
was it like with your dad or other male authority?
Yeah. With my dad, his words did matter a lot because he worked a ton, wasn't there much, and when he was there was just not super present and involved and emotionally kind of, I think, withdrawn or flat. So whenever, like in high school, I can think back, like when he would say anything, like the few times he would say something to me, it carried so much weight.
Okay.
Like, you know, like, it's great you're doing these extracurricular activities, or, you know, like, or like, get good grades, that's so good, you know, and
Right.
and like go to this college even, and you know, it like kind of controlled me. Yeah, like I had I know that I know that that's a root issue for me. Because I wanted, you know, I wanted his love, right? Like I've been coached like in a one-on-one, and, you know,
Yeah.
took on that responsibility to try and get that love, right? By doing those things that he said was valuable. And, you know, like I was so afraid to leave the school, the college that he wanted me to go to, but I did and told him. And so, yeah, that's the biggest one. I can't think of any other like male loud voices in my childhood.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing it like liquid gold, like almost like every time he spoke, it was like something to hold on to. Because like what you're saying is like, if he didn't say a lot, so it makes sense to me that you would be like kind of hanging on every word, like, oh, I got like a drop, you know, I got a little bit from him, and it would make sense that it would be, well, it makes sense that you would carry it to a marriage and hanging on that, um like just valuing, I just see like valuing their voice and authority over yours.
Well, and I'm just putting together that, like, I want a God that tells me what to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want my father's face on God
Totally.
still.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I'm afraid, like I get a lot of fear when I don't hear a clear answer from God. Like I'm afraid to move forward with like finalizing the divorce because, well, I've always, like, for so many years have thought I'll never, you know, I will never divorce my husband, and divorce is wrong. So that's a huge belief system to shatter in and of itself. But also just fearing, like, if I don't have that goal to hold on to, then, you know, I could screw something up huge. You know, I could just, so it's like, it's just making sense why I fear so much, like being wrong and screwing something up if I don't have that clear voice.
Right. Giving you that authority to choose that. Yeah.
And this program is like blowing up my thinking of like, oh, like God loves that he gives me choices.
Yeah.
And he actually did that for a reason. And that's another way he loves me. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's so hard to believe.
Yeah. Yeah. That all makes sense. I'm wondering, well, two things. What did it look like when you were a kid and you did make a mistake? Can you think of a time that you just like messed something up big?
I don't remember a ton from grade school and below. Like uh um like actual memories, but
Yeah.
all my mom, I like when I confronted them, asked them some questions a few years ago about my childhood, because I was counseling and learning some things and trying to get to these roots, and
Yeah.
it came out, like my mom shared in a really tearful, upset, kind of regretful way, that she would get angry a lot and like yell at us, and kind of for non substantial unfounded reasons, she felt. So like I don't remember that. I just, when she said that, I had like a strong like emotional reaction, like it felt real, it felt true, like I had experienced that.
Yeah.
And then just one memory of like my mom like yelling, calling me a bitch,
Yeah.
which is crazy and not like her. That is in high school, it's older, but because I like made her late for work, and that one, that's the one that always comes to my mind, when that's the only thing I can remember of like getting reprimanded.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. I have an avenue I want to go, but my daughter is asking me a question. So hold on one second. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Um I want to go here if you're up for it, because I really believe, just like our memory and our logic keeps memories, I really believe our heart and emotions store these memories. So if you're up for it, I feel like there's a pretty formative experience that you had, that probably 7 and under, that, because that's you typically what happens is we have that experience, and then we don't know how to process it, so we latch onto these things or these belief systems, before we even realize what we're partnering with. Would that be okay,
Yeah.
Zach? Okay. So go ahead and close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and just say what it's okay if nothing comes up. I'm confident something will, but just the picture, the memory, the thought, whatever comes to your mind. And hold on, now I lost my train of thought. We were talking about men and authority. We were talking about your mom and experience. Oh my gosh, wait, help me get back. Oh, Emily, I lost my train of thought. We were talking about your mom and help me.
My
brain.
the current situation is like my husband's voice is so loud, and I fear doing the wrong thing. I want God to tell me what to do. And I think that stems from my dad's voice clinging to that liquid gold. And but my mom's anger also like is what would come out, I guess, when I would get in trouble.
Yeah, it was that one. It was the doing something wrong. I want you to hang on to that one and ask your heart if it wants to bring up a time that you did something wrong, an experience you had with mom.
Hey, heart.
Mm.
Can you share with me a time when I was young and did something wrong? Something that stands out to you? I have two things. Like, one is, well, the moment my mom told me about her anger and yelling, this vision came to my mind then, but I don't know what I did. I just pictured her. It's a cloudy vision of just her just coming towards me and screaming, and me like my perspective is low on the ground. I'm low, like sitting on the ground looking up. And then the other is a grade school memory that I have had before. I have recalled this before, where I wrote a note. Like pretending I was playing with my sister, like wrote a note because I had just learned about sex and I liked a boy, and so I was pretending that I had sex with him and wrote this note to my sister. And my sister like told my mom, and I got in trouble for it. Like I don't remember what I don't remember what the consequence was. I just remember being told it was wrong, like not to write about that. Just a loud, upset voice. Yeah.
If you're okay with it, I want you to connect with the little girl that you told me was like low to the ground. And mom's standing over you and yelling. I feel like you can connect with that little girl.
Yeah, it's hard to like there's a part of me that wants to cling to what, like how big I was, like figure that out, and I can't figure that out, but maybe that's okay. And yeah, I can connect to the fear.
Yeah. What is she feeling right now?
I mean, just very small and just not safe and afraid. Like it's not really my mom.
That would be really scary. I want you to see Emily as you are today, as Mama Emily. Man, I'm emotional today. Sorry, I'm gonna cry. I want you to see Mama Emily as if you were protecting one of your children. And you can do it however you need to. I want you to see you walk into the situation. And almost like I want you to put your hand up towards your mom and her yelling. Like you don't have to say anything, just in a calming, silencing way. putting your hand up towards her and putting your other hand towards little Emily, like reaching out to her and helping her stand up. And I just want you to see her take your hand and stand up. Like, you know how little kids, when they hug you around the waist because they're so short still, and you're holding her. And I just want you to see your mom calm and that her voice was shut down. Is there anything that you, as Mama Bear, would say to your mom in that moment?
Mom, it's not her you're really angry at. And just, I don't know, just that, just like that's enough.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. Like that's the truth
Yeah.
that needs to be heard.
I want you to tell her, Mom, this is not okay.
Mom, this is not okay.
This is, you shouldn't talk to a little girl this way.
You shouldn't talk to a little girl this way.
She needed you to be soft and gentle with her.
She needs you to be soft and gentle
She
and
needed,
understanding.
she needed you to teach her.
She needs you to teach her.
And show her the way to do it.
Show her the way to do things.
She needs to feel safe with you.
She needs to feel really safe with you.
Does your little girl, does it feel like she could give your mom a hug? Or does that not feel safe in this moment?
Mm.
It's okay if not. I just want her to get the love and the safety that she needed.
But I had to catch up. I wasn't picturing my mom anymore. It was like she was listening, but really far away, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
So, I'm picturing her being close enough to even consider hugging.
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
I can hug her. I can picture adult Emily hugging her because I do all the time and she's wonderful. And,
Okay.
but it's it's I can't even picture a connection with my mom that young.
Yeah. That's okay.
It just doesn't make sense. It's just weird because she's so loving and easy to connect with now.
Okay. I just want you to see Mama Bear Emily holding little Emily. I just want to make sure that she gets what she needed before we leave this space. Do you already know what that is? If not, we can ask.
Just
No, I think just a hug is good right now, and
Yeah.
we're hugging, and she's just she's just grateful. She's just grateful she has me and who I've become today. Yeah. Yeah, that's all.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's a big part, though. That's really huge that she has you.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
Good. I'm it just new connections, like realizing I didn't feel real connected to my mom when I was little. You know, I never realized that could be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it just now my logic is, you know, going just
Sure.
like even making connections like standing up, like I'm practicing standing up for myself with my, like we're still married, my husband,
Yeah.
and having to practice being the big Emily mama, you know, to myself now, and how loving that is, and how I get to there might be times I will get to and need to do that, stand up to him to protect my kids, just moments of his anger towards them. So it I just feel like validated in my voice and my I guess authority
Yeah.
to protect and to say what's okay and not okay.
Yeah.
For my heart and sometimes my kids' hearts. Like I have to do that all the time between my kids. Like they get a little hurt trigger and want to attack the other kid, and
Right.
verbally and sometimes physically, and it's exhausting, but I'm learning to stand. I'm practicing that,
How
to
old
use
are
my
they?
voice. And 7, 9, and 11.
Okay. So they're getting old enough.
Yeah.
I'll give you this is my opinion, so take it or leave it. I have a 16, 15, and 9 and been divorced for a long time. So I can totally relate to, there are reasons why we got divorced, right? There where we didn't see eye to eye. And that actually it grows larger when you're divorced because in a way you don't have a say over him and his life. So what I found is when we were married, there were differences, but I could kind of have influence. And when we separated and got divorced, those became larger. And I don't say that to scare you off or anything, but the advice I would give is it's to empower your children. It's a really tough situation. Sorry, let me hold on. Sorry, we're on Christmas break, so we're in a hotel room. But to empower them to have these things is the best thing, in my opinion, that you could give them, right? Because I have the same things when they go to dad's, and dad is angry, and dad is drinking too much, and dad's all these things that I have no control or say over, and neither do they. I think the best thing I've given them are some of these tools. and not to like stand up to, like, there's a balance. Like, you're still mama bear, you're protecting them, all of those things. But to really reinforce from you to them, like, they matter, what they need matters. I tell them, like, to go in the other room, that they're not responsible for it, to have that separation. Does that make sense? Between that's dad, we have no control over other people, but you can choose what you partner with and how you respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, totally. Oh, thanks.
You can't be with them in all those moments. And it's so hard as a mom when you get them back and then it's like, dad did this and dad did this and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. It's so hard to hear the hurt and the pain and all those things. But yeah, I found that that's the best thing I can do, is really lean into that with them.
Awesome. Great job, Courtney.
Well, I just wanted to share that. Hopefully that was helpful. That was really sweet, though. Thanks for letting us be a part of it.
Yeah, thanks so much.
You're welcome. Miss Victoria, you next. Hey, honey. How was your Christmas?
Good.
Yeah?
Good. Yeah, my Christmas break was interesting. Like, through this program, I feel like so far, like, I've been getting, like, my relationships with, like, remember the friendship stuff that I was telling you about? I was
Yeah.
able to make amends with, remember that one unsafe, I wasn't sure, and, like, I was able to actually get clarity from her. Like, I was nice about it. Like, we just, like, kind of caught up. And long story short, like, it was just, like, surprisingly, like, a really good conversation and pretty healing, to the point where, like, I guess, like, I could get clarity in terms of, like, hey, like, I'm not trying to judge you or, like, bring up the past, but my intention is, instead of, like, believing, like, all these lies that I've had maybe about you from, like, misunderstandings, like, I want to be able to actually understand, like, your perspective, like, where you're coming from. Can you clarify some things? Like, are you open to that? Like, I asked her and she said yes. So that thing helped. And so now we're, like, just kind of starting over in our friendship. And at least it seems like she's open to the friendship now. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. And then also with the mom, like, this, I was a little triggered with this mom situation. um but I was able to kind of communicate to her later on about, some stuff that bothered me, because, like, she was kind of complaining to my husband about something. And then, like, it kind of, like, triggered me, because, like, I've had, like, people, like, talk behind my back or something. So, like, for her to do that kind of, like, annoyed me a little bit. Like, I know she meant well, but, and she trusts her son enough to, like, say stuff. So I was able to, like, kind of calm down and see her perspective, and then talk to her later during Christmas Day, because she, like, complained during Christmas Day. I'm like, this is not the time to complain about me right now, or tell the honest truth. Like, but it's fine. Like, I guess, like, it's better to not lie. But I just wish she told me, like, to my face directly, instead of through my husband. But luckily, like, my husband actually was able to help. Like, he's more of a calmer person than me. Like, when I talk, especially when I'm triggered, I can be kind of more harsh, but he's more calm. So I think, like, he was, like, a good medium person for her, like, you know. But now I think, like, my biggest question that's kind of coming up for me is, like, I'm noticing, like, lately through therapy, that I have this codependency of, like, because I just covered, like, codependency last week, which kind of opened some things for me about, kind of with my husband, like, how I feel like I do, like, a lot of the work around the house, like, a lot of the monitoring, a lot of the, like, a lot of, like, leadership around the household, and he's more leadership around, like, maybe finances and, other stuff, like, spiritually.
Okay.
But I guess, like, I'm having a trouble, like, with my OCD and my codependency of, like, anything he does, like, affects me. And I feel like I need to control him by saying, hey, like, if you do, can you please, like, I try to, like, not control, but I'll try to, like, tell him, like, my needs, right? Like, hey, like, do you mind helping me with the trash if you have time, or something like that, or, like, and he'll get to it. But, like, I feel like I'm more rushed. Like, I expect him to always be thinking about chore stuff like I do. So I think, like, we're just different. Like, he's very, like, laid back, carefree, like he doesn't worry about stuff like me. So his beliefs and my beliefs are kind of different. Whereas, like, I feel like this should be a certain way, and he thinks that this is not a big deal. Like, it shouldn't be this way. Like, there's so many ways you can do things. So I think like I don't know like the question. I think like it's just like how to deal with my husband, like not being so codependent on my husband, because I think like also like I want to go back to school. I realized I this Christmas his brother was like coming to me. We were talking about some stuff, and through my experience with like the friendship thing and how we reconcile, like he kind of like broke up or on a break with her ex, and then I guess like whatever I was just sharing my part and my experience, it kind of like he was like, "Have you ever thought to be a small group leader or like a counselor?" But I never like thought about that. And I guess I ended up counseling him through like he opened up that kind of opened up his conversation after sharing about like the whole reconciliation with my friends and how, like and just how like I was able to learn and take ownership and like kind of understand their perspective and kind of find that common ground and at least be at peace with each other.
Yeah.
And like I guess he's kind of having a hard time with the ex. So luckily my husband's okay with me like talking to him about it and him sharing. And I guess like it was weird. I was like in this counselor mode of like helping him process his feelings and like understanding like was this really like the best scenario, the best response to that scenario that he was triggered. So like he never like talked about feelings before because they're both engineers, so they're very logical. So I was, I guess, kind of able to kind of slow him down and get more in an emotional, like understanding the root. And now I'm thinking about going to back to school to maybe be a counselor because I wanted to originally be a counselor when I was in grade, like in going into college. But my mom, kind of like my mom, I'm also very codependent on my mom. Where like before, like kind of like I relate with Emily that like there's so many voices of like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. Like my mom like although like I do connect with her too like better now because I communicated to her some of the issues of her communication that pushed me away. I guess like she was able to like apologize, but still I think like sometimes now like even though we're okay, I feel like I still have like triggers or like hurt from like back in the day where I feel like my feelings, my needs, what I really wanted and my desires like never really mattered. Like I wanted to be a singer or something and then it would be crushed. Or like I want to be a counselor, it would be crushed. Everybody would be like, oh, you should be a doctor, you should be a like either health or business. I didn't have the choice. So that's why like now that I'm graduated and I kind of had a hard time finding a job that I really like graduated with in health promotion. And then I ended up like working different jobs as a teacher. And then now I'm a coach. So it's like kind of like I like the teaching and coaching aspect, but then I also like the healing aspect. And like shame and codependency is actually one of my niches that I love to talk about because I struggle with that a lot. But I just don't know like how to like I've been looking into schools, but like part of me keeps stopping myself because I always tell myself that like no, like even if my husband supports it, I can't get myself to like support myself. Like I'm neglecting myself all the time. It's like I want to go back to school maybe. I'm thinking okay, but then part of it I guess is like a hurt too that I'm aware of, like my teacher thinking I was stupid and incapable. So all the time when I think about going to school and I have to think about applying for school, it's like, oh, what if I can't? What if not smart enough? What if I can't do this? What if I fail? So I have a big fear of failure and success a little bit, and I self-sabotage by like trying to apply for like not wanting to invest in myself like school wise to get what I want to do, but I try to like look for it anyway. Like I try to apply for it and then I don't get it. And I was like, why don't I get it? Because I don't have the credentials. Even though I have like a lot of head knowledge, I don't have like I guess the degree or the certificate at the moment to be a teacher or counselor, like to back it up. Because I have teaching experience. Just so happened like a guy from church I knew like offered me a job as a teaching assistant. And that was my first job that I liked. But then, and then I was a swim instructor, all that kind of stuff. And now I am a certified health and life coach, but like, I'm still trying to get some stuff, figured out before I start coaching again. So I've been kind of taking a break because I had my own business coaching some people before. And then I kind of took a break. Now I'm vocal coaching. So it's like trying to figure out what I want to do, but it's hard because I have like a lot of self-doubt of like, am I doing the right thing? I have like the fear of like choosing. I can't just like my counselor actually told me something really straight to the point and like whoa, because she was like, you just got to pick something and stick with it. But for me, I can't like seem to stick with something. Like I feel like I have to change my mind because I'm afraid that like I'm doing the wrong thing and I'm not doing what God's calling me to do. So I don't know. So it's like a mixture of like my husband, it's a mixture of my own like codependent. It's like a lot of codependency and shame I think that comes up for me that kind of prevents me from either getting my needs met from my husband and my needs met in terms of like my career and calling, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that
I don't know.
it all makes sense. And I think you're right. I think it's similar to like Emily's, where it's that voice and that authority in your life, which makes a lot of sense. I remember you sharing a lot about your childhood and your experience with your parents. And there's these moments that we just partner with whoever's voice is the loudest in our life, right?
Mhm.
Doesn't necessarily it's not necessarily something we agree with or even want in our lives, but it's just like I almost see it's like a key in your hand, and whoever is closest in your life, you just hand it to them and say, no, actually you get to choose. No, actually you get to choose, right?
Yeah.
So I think some of it's maybe less the codependency. I see that aspect of it with your husband and needs, and that makes sense. But I think a bigger, like an overarching thing is being able to take that authority back in your life and deciding, because this has been my experience with Papa, because I can relate to a lot to Emily and how she's like, I would approach God very transactionally, very like, tell me what to do here. Tell me what to do here. What should I be doing? What shouldn't I be doing? And he so lovingly never would. Right? Because what I found is the closer I get in relationship with him, that the question he brings back to me is he scoots in close and he's like, baby girl, what do you want to do? And I'm like, no, you're supposed to tell me. And this is what I feel so much from him. He's so excited to hear what Victoria is going to do. Like, he's never going to tell you. Like, he will lead you, and that's wonderful. That's beautiful. But I think sometimes we want him to tell us what to do because it will avoid failure, avoid pain, have a louder voice in authority in our lives, and he will never take that position. What I find is like a sweet, sweet Papa. Like, he gave me this vision the other day of like a little kid building Legos, and he leans in and he's like, what are you going to build? What are you going to do? Right? Because he's like on the edge of his seat, excited to see what's going to light you up, like what brings you alive. And then there's this sweet space of like co-partnering with your creator. Like in the Lego scenario, I see him as like, I'm a little kid and I'm building this thing and I have a vision of it, and he comes and he'll direct me and put a Lego somewhere, or he'll show me like, oh, let's build over here. Like, it's this co-partnering with your creator and the one who made you. But I think it's very low stakes. Like, so much he tells me, you can literally do anything and I'd be on board with you. Like, and I know that's like a lot of freedom and that's a lot of free will, but I so believe that he's behind whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? I think he just wants to be a part of it, like any good parent. He's like, cool, you want to teach? Awesome. Just don't leave me out of it. Like, he wants to be a part of it. And even that's not like a high stakes or like it's more relational. It's like a good parent that's like, okay, you're into volleyball? Sweet. I'm going to go get you the gear. We're going to do volleyball. Oh, wait, now you're into soccer? Awesome. I'm going to go get you cleats. We're going to practice together. I'm going to give you advice and say, hey, hit the ball this way. Right? But do you see that relationship? I'll get stuck in something I'm doing and he's like, hey, do it this way. What if you did this? And it's supposed to be this like fun, lighthearted thing of like an excitement on like, what could we build? Literally anything. You can literally do anything you want to do. I know that's like not the best advice. I can't tell you what to do, But and you know the things that light you up, music, when you release that song, right? What you're just saying, what you're just saying about codependency and coaching people, like I think it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It could be, or one or the other. It could be all of them. Maybe not at the same time, but you literally could focus and, write the book or coach people or put out music. Like there could be different seasons. And Papa is so excited to see what's going to come from you.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah.
What does that feel like?
Oh, I mean, that is so true. I think you definitely nailed it in terms of like, I guess it's just a good perspective because like I think my hurt I'm realizing from me talking is that my mom always told me what to do. Like I never had a choice.
Yeah.
So I guess like it's hard to see God in that way because
Yeah.
I feel like I also have to be like God is like my mom, where it's like, okay, what should I do, God? Like, and then when it's not clear, it's like, okay, like I think I want to do this, so I'm gonna go for it. And then if it fails, then I feel like, oh no, because like I used to do that where it's like my mom told me not to do something, and I would do it anyway because I would be rebellious. And then like I realized, oh, like I shouldn't have done that. And then every time I made a mistake, my mom would be like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. Like I told you so. And then I guess like maybe that's the hurt that I still carry today is like, like even now my mom says like choose whatever you want to do, it's okay, just make sure you really want to do it, because she knows I've changed my mind quite a bit since graduation of like jobs and stuff and career. And but like it was just sad because like I wish I could have chosen in like day one what I wanted to do, which was counseling.
Yeah.
But no, like I had to settle for health promotion, and then there's no really jobs right now available for that at the moment. And then I did coaching. So like God has evolved me and taught me a lot through teaching and then coaching, and then like now even like have affirmation from my counselor and my husband and her brother and everybody. And and like I'm realizing, oh wow, all this time I really wanted to be maybe a counselor or something, I don't know, or some kind of social worker or something. So and then like I know that people now are encouraging me to do counseling, but before nobody encouraged me to do counseling. So it's just kind of like, I guess, that doubt of like, well, should I do this just because people are telling me to do this? Or do I really want to do this? Now I'm like doubting myself again. It's like,
right.
No, I've always wanted to do this. Now everybody's telling me to do this. I'm kind of rebellious too. Like if people tell me to do something, it's like, no, I'm not going to do it. So I guess like, my mind's already programmed that way. And like God's like, you just do it, like find something, go to school or like find a job. But no, I'm like, nah, like I'm like very like reluctant now to even go back to school when I originally want to go back to school. But I just don't know how to get my mind like programmed back to like, okay, let me just do something, like just go for the counseling if that's really what God wants me to do. But I'm just scared because it's a lot of money. It's a lot of years of experience. I have to do like licensing and everything like that. If I want to be a clinical counselor, or family, or I think I'd be more interested in like couples, like what's it called, couples and family therapy or something, like marriage and family therapy or something like that. But again, like then it's like that hurt, like there's two hurts. I feel like my mom, and then it's like the teacher, like you're not capable, you're stupid. So and then the comparison growing up, because my cousins, they're doctors, they're pharmacists, they're like, they got it all figured out, it seems like. For me, I'm still figuring it out after being graduated, and I just feel like a failure compared to my especially if my mom used to compare me a lot to my cousins. And I'm not like them. I'm not a straight A student. I mean, I was in college. I got honors later, but like I felt like I always constantly had to prove myself, and it was never good enough. Like if I got an A or a B, like it was good, but it was still never good enough like my cousins, because they got straight A scholars in high school. Then they go into college, like it was no big deal. Then they graduate in like not too long, like that, like and get a doctor's degree, and they walk in the aisle, and it's like, oh. So maybe that's like part of that too. I don't know if I need healing in that. Like I guess like I just don't know like how to process it. It's like, do I just get healing and then move on, or is there like tangible things or practical things I need to do to like move forward? Maybe
I
that's a
think-
question. I
I
don't
think
know.
right now, just take a deep breath. Okay. Because I think you get in your head a lot
Yeah, I do.
and you overthink a lot. And it's all okay. It's okay. I think maybe the high stakes of it and the pressure, it kind of creates you to be up here like, I hear all these thoughts. I hear all these like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Mhm.
And what I've found, because I've been there, what I found in those moments, I actually do nothing because I'm going, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Do I do this? Do I do that? And there will be months, literally months, where I look back and I'm like, okay, but I did nothing. Does that make sense? So I think just like breathe for a second and just, if you can get to a place of like taking the high stakes and the pressure off, like you don't need to be anywhere else than right where you are.
Mm.
So like the coaching thing, you didn't miss out on anything. All of this stuff that you've been given up until now is just going to help you if you choose into coaching someday, right? All of this experience and the route that it's taken you to get here, it's all going to be used. Like God will use all of it, right? So I don't think you missed out on anything. Okay. Does that make sense? I don't think you don't have to be farther. You don't have to have the answers. You don't have to know any of this stuff. I think if you let yourself kind of take that pressure off, and it's not high stakes. Like, what if you start down one of the roads and it ends up you change your mind in a year, right? Or you put all this time into music. Like, failing is not the worst thing that can happen. You actually move, someone told me this years ago, you move from glory to glory, right? We never move backwards. You're going to be able to bring everything to that you've experienced in this moment into the future. It's all going to benefit you, whether you're teaching, whether you're writing music, whether you guys have a baby in 2 years and you're a stay-at-home mom. Like, it's all, you know what I mean? Like, it'll all be okay. That's all I want to say to you. What does that feel like? Without going too much in your head and taking a breath, because I hear you. It sounds like you're really trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
so that you don't experience that failure and don't experience that pain on the other side. And there's really nothing you can do to not experience pain on the other side. Like, you can't, whatever we do, we can't be protected from that, right? There's going to be disappointment in times, there's going to be pain in times, and there's going to be failure. Like, that's natural and normal for all of us. I know I just like totally burst your bubble. What does what are you thinking?
I mean, it does calm me down what you're saying. I guess it's just not.
You don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I still just want to figure it out.
I
Like,
know.
like I want to figure it out, but I know like I just need to like remind myself like it's okay to be where I am. Like acknowledge like okay, where I am is okay, is where I need to be, and like I guess like maybe I need to make a choice. Maybe God's like you just need to make a choice. Like I'm not gonna make it for you, but I feel like I'm waiting for him to tell me what to do. And then I feel like stuck.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of like stuck. It's like, yeah, I just need to do something. I just don't know what to do. So then it makes me paralyzed to do nothing, like you said. Like I just don't want to do anything because I'm too pressured to feel like I need to do something, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
because it's like, okay, I'm coaching and I do like the coaching, but like, do I do what like you are doing, like spiritual coaching, or do I do like counseling, or like, it's like, but obviously people are going to tell me counseling because that's what people are more aware of.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of afraid to go to counseling because I just a lot of school and work, and it's just like, and I'm thinking about a house, saving up for a house and for kids. So like that's like my least priority is to go back to school for myself. Like I need to save up for my husband and I. Like I think about us more than me. Like at least that's what I want. That's like what's stopping me. But then it's like, well, why can't I just be happy where I am now? Like doing my own business, like as a vocal coach at the moment, and maybe starting up my other coaching thing later. But I just feel like since it's not stable, it's not like, I'm making money, but it's not like stable like a 9 to 5 job or like a part-time job. So I think like the shoulds of like, from my family, like you should find a job. Like, did you
Yeah.
find a job yet? Like, are you still looking for a job? Like, I hate those questions because it's like people are like expecting me to do more than what I'm doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and that's, you shared that before. That sounds like your mom's voice, right? You have a stable 9 to 5 job. What I heard, it sounded like you got to the place where you don't want to go back to school right now. It sounded like that was a decision that you just worked out. And it sounded like, which is fine. In this moment, it could be that you don't want to go back to school. And that very well, it doesn't have to be definite. You could reassess, yourself and your marriage and your financial situation better than anyone, even close to you. Right? And so it doesn't have to be definite. It could be like what you said, is your priority is your marriage, a potential house someday, potential children. I think what may be about like a place to focus is that energy of not enough. I think that's kind of the underlying motivation of why you're reaching for these things. And I did it for years. Oh my gosh. I went back and got a degree because I was trying to prove to my family that I was enough. I went to ministry school for 3 years because I was trying to prove to my family that I was enough. I was like, and it was really my mom. I thought, I'm going to get a degree. I was trying to earn my mom's approval and my mom's love. And sorry to burst your bubble again, it never got to that point. It's not there because that was within her. I've never gotten to the point at any of those moments. Like I have a bachelor's in biology and chemistry. I went to ministry school. Like I have this line. None of the things that I wanted to do, I was trying to earn my mom's approval. All I wanted was my mom to say, I'm so proud of you. And I hate to say it because I think if you stay in that energy, you're going to waste a lot of time, which is what I did, not being who you were created to be and living the life you want to be living. Does that make sense? Because I had to get to the place inside of me that I'm enough right now doing what I want to be doing. I don't want to be anywhere else than right here talking about this stuff, doing this stuff, pouring out everything that I've been given, because this is what I want to be doing. Like I still don't have, does that make sense? Like it matters more if you can get out of that energy of I'm not enough, because I think that's what's driving you. And when I look at you, I think you're more than enough. You're writing music, you're teaching music. That's what lights you up. That's what makes you so excited and come alive. Every time you talk about it, I see you light up. And when I look at that, I don't think, man, I wish she was doing more. I wish she had a 9-to-5 job. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to make light of it, but that's what I'm saying is like, it sounds like the voice of your mom running in your head, and that pain of inadequacy, that pain of I'm not enough. But that's going to lead you down this trail of like striving. What if I'm this? What if I'm that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Yeah. I think I just needed to hear that.
Yeah. It makes sense. It's little Victoria wanting to know, am I enough? Just who I am. Am I enough for you, Mom? Right?
Yeah.
I know that's a hard one, honey.
Thank you. Yeah. That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad. How's your kitty?
Good. He's just sleeping right here.
Oh, I love that.
He's
Oh my God. You're doing so good. You're doing so good. Thanks for bringing this to us. I think you're right where you're supposed to be.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Breathe. It's good. Go pet your cat.
Okay.
Take some time. All right. Okay, Miss Raven.
Hi,
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very anxious.
That's okay. It's scary the first couple times.
Yeah, this is my first time being coached, so I'm not
Okay.
really sure what or how much I'm supposed to like bring to the table.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay. I wrote down just two little points that I feel like in the last couple of months, I'm very emotional right now, so I'm just gonna apologize from the beginning. It's been a rough holiday season.
Yeah.
I feel like I've realized that I don't realize that I've become codependent until it's like painful. So I as I was hearing you coach other people, I just don't think that I've ever had a safe space or relationship that was like healthy and natural. So I feel like I become codependent with people that I trust, and then it becomes super painful when it's like almost too late. So like I don't feel like I realize that I'm becoming codependent on people, like people's approval or their safety, until it's almost like they've hurt me, and then I'm like, like my world feels like it's turned upside down. So then I find it very difficult to like come out of that. And I just like noticed a lot over the holidays. Going home was just super painful for me. And because I live by myself in a different city than my family, and it was just super painful. And I was like rushing to get out of there. So I only spent like less than a day there. And yeah, I've been on the couch for like 2 days. So I thought this was like a perfect call to come to and just kind of move myself. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I've been avoiding like diving deep into this program for this reason.
Okay. Can you give me like a relationship or a situation, like a specific situation?
I know like a couple months ago, I'm a behavior therapist for kids with special needs. And one boy I had been working with for a year, his mom and I became super close. And I didn't realize till after there was like a falling out that like I had almost seen her as like a mother figure. And I like became super codependent on like feeling that kind of connection and love with somebody. And then when it was like it kind of crumbled, it felt like I had just gone through like the pain of a mother like twice.
Yeah.
So then that kind of brought up all the pain of like that I have with my own mom. And so it just felt like I was going through it again. And like I'm only 23, so I feel like my mom pain is still so fresh, like I haven't really gotten over it. So that would probably be like one of the most recent ones that I think has brought up a lot of mom pain for me.
Yeah. With codependency, does it feel like you relate more to like which aspect of codependency? Is it more of the needs
Yeah,
being met or making sure they're okay with
um,
you so that you're okay?
I think that it's like a little bit of both. I think that it's like that need to be like feel loved by someone and feel safe within a relationship and feel like I just like have someone. But then I also feel like I've noticed now I become super codependent on making sure like the other person is happy. And then when it crumbles, I'm like I literally have emptied my happiness tank into someone else, and then I'm like left like with an empty tank, it feels like. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it all makes sense. And we do this like the relationship you're talking about with this mom. It makes so much sense that it would be what you experienced as a little girl with your mom. I would I would say that it it's totally up to you. It's your choice. But I would say if you want to get to like the deep root things, I would suggest focusing on the mom pain and not so much this relationship unless there are practical things. Are you still working with her son?
No,
Okay. Okay. Um, because I mean, you could focus there. It's just I think it's a more removed level than the root pain. Does that make sense?
yeah, like I definitely, a couple of the calls I've sat in on, I definitely like have tried to explore like my mom pain, and like I have come to like a conclusion that there's just so much there that I kind of like stored away when I moved away from home, and I was like I'm just not going to deal with it, and it just I definitely think that it's something that I need to address. I just don't even know how to, because I don't feel like that's a safe space for me. Like going home is not a safe space for me, like emotionally or mentally or spiritually. So it's just a very like it just I instantly get anxiety when I see like my city sign when I'm driving home, and like as soon as I get back to the city I'm in, I just feel like a relief. So I don't know how to communicate that kind of pain, because it's also like I don't know if my mom realizes how much pain she's caused me, and like I don't want to put that pain onto her, because I don't think she like fully understands that like my childhood has like impacted greatly who I am now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really know how to navigate communicating. Like there's a lot of things you said and did to me like from 0 to even 18 that like
Yeah.
I haven't forgotten. Um, so yeah, I think that's like one of the biggest things is I don't know how to safely approach that without it becoming like even worse for myself.
Right. Okay. Well, and I think there may be some steps before you get to that one. I would say maybe hold off. Um, if this is the beginning of you diving into pain, let me back up a little bit because when you're talking about mom pain, I really believe that our hearts will bring up the pain that we're ready to deal with in the moment. Okay. And there's so many reasons why we shut down, why we dissociate, why we disconnect from the pain because it's overwhelming. So I really believe between getting connected to your heart and the Holy Spirit, they will guide you on like when it's time to address what pain. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It probably, when I came into this program a few years back, I knew I had so much dad pain. And so I was like, but I had carried it with me in my life for so long that I knew it was there. And it wasn't until like a year and a half in probably that I realized I had mom pain. And it was the first time that it like surfaced.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So and this would be for all of you ladies, I would let, you know, the relationships are going to come that bring up certain pain. Pain is going to be triggered in different seasons. Like it's all going to unravel and unfold in what you can handle in those moments. So I would say don't go digging.
Okay.
If your heart is not ready to address all of it, I would say take what your heart is presenting in that moment. Okay. I forgot the other thought that I had, because I want to walk you through something practically. Hold on, I'm trying to think back. With having the conversation, it may not be time to have that conversation with your mom, or it may be time to have the initial conversation of, because you're right, there is a little pocket of space that is, you experienced pain and your mom is not this horrible mom villain bad guy, right? There's a space that both have occurred. So it's really relevant and valid that you experienced pain and that she doesn't know how much pain that she caused you, right? And so there's a way to process through your pain without blaming that other person, but still validating that experience was really real for you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I probably wouldn't have that conversation yet. Unless you wanted to have the first conversation of, and it can be as much or as little as you want to share, but you could say, hey, I'm starting this healing journey. I'm starting to connect with the pain that I've experienced. So I may create space in the relationship. I may not come home this next year because it's really painful for me. Right? You'll know at what points that you want to share what, and that's a boundary that only you can make. I just say that because that's what I did. I had moved to another city and I created that space because I needed to have that space to figure out what was happening inside of me. I'd never explored all the pain that I was in. I didn't even know what was there.
Yeah.
So for a time, I stayed away from my family and away from my city and all of those things so that I could just start to scratch the surface of that pain. Now, there was, a different season where it was time for me to face those things and to have the conversations like Elizabeth was talking about. But I don't think that was, like, I needed to have that space first. And it sounds like that's where you may be.
Yeah, like I definitely don't think I'm ready to have that conversation. I think that my heart is telling me like it's not safe. I think just other relationships in my life that cause me pain, I just like instantly am now going into this like shutdown. It's the same pain, like this is a familiar pain. And so I thought that I would have to deal with my mom pain first to deal with like these little ones, but now I'm thinking I just need to deal with the little pain. I don't really know. I just was coming to this conversation to just kind of say it out loud, I think.
Totally.
But yeah, I just think also like I don't have any codependency or dependency on God. And I think that's also been bothering me, is that I'm so codependent on people in my life, but like not God, and very not distant. Like I've built such a much better relationship over the past couple of months, but I definitely like go to him and I'm like very weary of like not asking him for help or for guidance or for signs or anything. And I just kind of talk. But yeah, I I think it's a little overwhelming. I think the holiday season brings up a lot of overwhelming pain, at least for myself. So yeah,
Totally.
I just think I needed security and knowing that like when my heart feels safe, like I'll know
Yeah,
that I don't need to like rush dealing with that quite yet.
you will. Can I walk you through something little
Yeah.
with your heart? Okay. Go ahead and close your eyes. Put your hand on your heart. Have you spent much time like getting connected with your heart?
Yeah, like I've been trying to have heart time every morning for the last couple months.
Yeah. Okay. We're just gonna talk to Raven's heart, okay? I just want you to say, heart, I'm so sorry that I haven't given you a voice.
Heart, I am so sorry that I haven't given you a voice.
I'm so sorry that I haven't known what you've needed.
I'm so sorry that I haven't known what you needed.
And I want to promise you
And I want to promise you
that I'm going to take the time
that I'm going to take the time
to connect with you,
to connect with you,
to learn what you needed,
to learn what you needed,
to learn what you're saying.
to learn what you're saying.
I may not have known how to,
I may not have known how to,
but I promise you that I'm going to learn.
but I promise you that I'm going to learn.
I'm going to learn how to take care of your needs.
I'm going to learn how to take care of your needs.
I'm going to learn how to let God into this place.
I'm going to learn how to let God into this place.
And that you are going to have your needs met.
And that you are going to have your needs met.
Because I want to get you what you need.
Because I want to get you what you need.
And I'm committed to go on that journey
I'm committed to go on that journey
of learning you,
of learning you,
of listening to the pain,
of listening to the pain,
of learning how to connect with comfort,
of learning how to connect with comfort,
learning how to get you healing,
learn how to get you healing,
and to learn how to stay connected with you.
and learn how to stay connected with you.
I want you to ask your heart, is there something you need right now?
Is there something you need right now? I just feel like it needs me to love it and to stop searching for other people to love it first.
Yeah. I want you to ask her, how can you love on her today?
How can I love on you today? I'm just getting a lot of be present and just connect. And yeah, just a lot of be present is just coming to me right now.
I love that. How does that feel for you?
It felt good. I think, yeah, I just think I've been neglecting my own heart for a long time.
Yeah.
I think it was good to just speak to it and just let it be heard for a second.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
Thanks for sharing that with
Thank
us.
you so much for that.
Yeah. It's very much like a relationship. That connecting with our heart or connecting to little Raven or little Courtney or even God, like they're all relationships and how you would approach any other relationship, like tending to it, nurturing, right? It needs time. There's times where you're like happy and there's times where there's tension or conflict. Like there's all of those things happen between that relationship. So yeah, it'll build the more you connect with her.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. How's everyone else doing? Just wanted to check in before we say goodbye. Good, good, good. Yay. I'm so glad. That was so sweet and tender today. I love that space. You're welcome. Good. Sarita doing well. Awesome. Yay. You ladies are doing so well. I'm so proud of all of you. This is hard stuff. It's so worth it. Wonderful. Good. Good, good. Well, have a good new year. Happy Monday. Have a great week. Thank you, ladies. Good. Love to hear that. Okay, love you all.